take, for example, the $1.9 billion given to Stacey Abrams, a fake NGO.
Utter insanity.
Explain that. Forget to know the story.
That's corrupt. That's just corrupt, I think. That's paying off cronies at that point.
1,000%.
Yeah. And by the way, she knew. Like when you get $2 billion, you don't miss that. That's not...
It's not an accident.
Allegedly, it was for like, environmentally friendly appliances or something. And they've given like 100 appliances so far for $2 billion. It's a very expensive toaster or whatever.
But really nice.
One hell of an appliance.
That Sub-Zero fridge, boy, it's nice.
Right. This is obviously one of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy, is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls, and then there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. So there's no. So this is with the $1.9 billion to Stacey Abrams, they then give themselves extremely lavish, like insane salaries, expense everything to the nonprofit, buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes,
on the taxpayer dime.
Correct.
You mentioned...
And this is happening at scale. It's not just one or two. We're seeing this everywhere.
And people are concerned, doubly so, because the money went to a small law firm that happens to employ someone who's been a longtime associate and friend of Stacey Abrams and who worked for her campaign or worked for one of her organizations.
Yes, it's both. She was the campaign chair in 2018 and is the campaign chair for this campaign. Which is usually an unpaid position that does a lot to do with fundraising, not so much the day-to-day of campaign operations.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey.
Why this beat so crazy?
We will make America proud again. And you try to kill our citizens. We will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, lock this big heifer up. Put your hands behind your back. This one needs to be, I'm telling you, a full audit needs to go on, a full-blown investigation. Y'all know I did a video on this about a couple weeks ago with this lady. We exposed this, and I'm so glad Elon Musk brings it again in the spotlight. That he exposes her once again, man. This scam. Yeah, lock that big heifer up. Make an example out of that big heifer. I'm just saying. Well, what's going on, family? I hope everybody is doing well. That you are blessed, well, and healthy. That you're having an amazing day, an amazing week, an amazing month, an amazing year so far. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We have so much love and support, and thank y'all for showing so much love on to me on X. I didn't even know y'all was gonna show that much love, man. But we've been following everybody back on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, man. So if you want to follow me on there, OkayRickk, I am verified on there, and we're starting to get more active. And it's one of the ways we also have run an amazing show on this platform. It's through X as well, so as you can see. But Elon Musk exposes Stacey a 2 billion NGO scam. He calls it insanity and corrupt. Yeah, and she knew. And like I've been saying, I've been screaming this for quite a long. And there's a lot of them that need to be investigated, audited, arrested. Put your hands behind your back. Rick, sir, nobody will be held accountable, sadly, sir. Rick, sir, nobody will be held accountable. We gotta put our foot down, man. We have to. This woman here is a disgrace, man. But love that Elon Musk has broke the internet, slamming this lady and exposing this scam.
And so the company kept getting money.
Wow.
Now, is that waste or fraud?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, both.
It's sort of
if you know you're getting something you're not supposed to get.
You're not supposed to get it, but the government sent it to you, and nobody from the government asked for it back. Take, for example, the $1.9 billion given to Stacey Abrams, a fake NGO.
Utter insanity.
Explain that. For people that don't know the story.
That's corrupt. That's just corrupt, I think. That's paying off cronies at that point.
1,000%.
Yeah. And by the way, she knew.
I'm starting to love these Elon Musk podcasts, these Doge podcasts sitting up here. I'm starting to love it all, man. You know, even when he just got off Joe Rogan. I mean, I'm loving it, man. You know, I really am. We're keeping it real, man. You talk about transparency. This administration is a night and day difference from the previous administration. A night and day difference, man.
Like when you get $2 billion, you don't miss that. That's not,
it's not an accident.
Allegedly, it was for environmentally friendly appliances or something, and like they've given like 100 appliances so far for $2 billion. It's very expensive.
Crazy.
Toaster oven.
But they're really nice.
One hell of an appliance.
That Sub-Zero fridge, boy, it's nice.
So I think most people had the same feeling when they heard about this $2 billion. I mean, I think that's why the story was so big. This is some of our biggest videos, definitely recently. Some of our biggest videos ever were about this Stacey Abrams thing. And I think it's just people like this. Something just doesn't feel right about $2 billion going to the, like, this is too
And it's like I tell y'all, it's not just this lady. It's a whole bunch of them. And I can read down the list. I've done videos on tons of these individuals, man. You know, ton of these Democrats. You know, audits need to be going on. I'm telling you, full-blown investigation. Arrests need to be made. People need to be held accountable, man.
$1 billion. You know, we can do with $2 billion. And the fact that, you know, that there hadn't been any kind of public disclosure, like this wasn't something that the average person on the street would have known about. It just didn't feel right. Now, I'm certainly not claiming anybody did anything wrong, but as you will see in this upcoming clip,
somebody did something wrong. Yeah, I ain't being nice. I'm putting my foot down. I want somebody I need the Trump administration. They need to put their foot down, man, and go make an example out of these individuals. At least give them a full investigation, an audit or something. Somebody did something wrong. And I'm just being real.
Musk calls this a type of like a scam, a type of scam that he's noticing. In his opinion, it's a scam, and he's saying not only was Abrams involved in this kind of scam, but other people were as well. Let's take a look.
Right. This is obviously one of the biggest scam fraud holes we've uncovered, which is really crazy. Is that the government can give money to a so-called nonprofit with very few controls, and then there's no auditing subsequently of that nonprofit. So there's no. So this is with the 1.9 billion to Stacey Abrams, they then give themselves extremely lavish, like insane salaries, expense everything to the nonprofit, buy jets and homes and all sorts of things.
Live like kings and queens.
Yes,
on the taxpayer's dime.
Taxpayer dime.
Correct.
You mentioned,
and this is happening at scale. It's not just one or two. We're seeing this everywhere.
Now, y'all, you know Musk and his Doge people have been all up and through the government files, and they've been taking a look at everything. So I guess we just have to take his word for it that he's been seeing a lot of this. Now, what I'm going to do now is shoot into a previous news report by Politico, y'all. I was shocked at this because I feel that the people who are doing this reporting are people who you would expect to be on the side of Stacey Abrams, and they seem to be sketched out by it. Like they seem to be like, what's going on here? So I'm not going to do a whole lot of run up. This is kind of, it's kind of an extended report. I did ban.
The voting rights organization founded by Stacey Abrams spent $9.4 million between 2019 and 2020 on legal fees for a boutique law firm where Allegra Lawrence Hardy, Abrams' gubernatorial campaign chairwoman, is one of two named partners. That's according to new reporting by Politico's Brittany Gibson.
So joining us now to discuss is politics reporter at Politico, Brittany Gibson. Welcome, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you here. So tell us more about the story. What precisely is going on and is the issue?
Yeah, so essentially we can see half the story on Fair Fight's side right now. As you said, we have the tax forms for the nonprofit organization for 2019 and 2020, which show that they spent about $25 million on legal fees. And in interviews with the attorneys for the case, as well as people that work at Fair Fight, they said that most of that money was spent on this litigation. They don't have to provide an actual breakdown. I did ask for it, but they have not released that information. So it's about $25 million for the first 2 years of this litigation. And this is the case that Stacey Abrams filed at the end of 2018, at the end of her last gubernatorial run. And it went to court this year. So there's an assumption as well that the legal fees will increase at least probably about the same amount of money as the first 2 years in these most recent 2 years, 2021 and 2022, when the case went to trial. On the state side, they spent $6 million defending this case, and the case got its verdict about a little less than a month ago, and Fair Fight Action lost on the 3 remaining claims that made it to trial this year.
So at the end of the day, the accusation is that she spent an outsized amount of money, not just as compared to what the defense spent, but also I saw in your article, other kind of public interest attorneys have pointed to the fact that they would expect a litigation of this sort to be much less expensive. The claims, in fact, were not meritorious in the court of law, so to the extent that they drew attention to these voting rights concerns, it's not clear at this point whether it's positive attention. And people are concerned doubly so because the money went to a small law firm that happens to employ someone who's been a longtime associate and friend of Stacey Abrams and who worked for her campaign or worked for one of her organizations.
Yes, it's both. She was the campaign chair in 2018 and is the campaign chair for this campaign, which is usually an unpaid position that does a lot to do with fundraising, not so much the day-to-day of campaign operations. Yes, and that's exactly right. So the NAACP's Legal Defense Fund did a study up through cases in 2021 that looks at the fees that plaintiffs as well as states in defending these cases have paid in past cases similar to the one that Fair Fight Action filed. And they found the most expensive case was $8.8 million in legal fees. That was a case down in Texas. And typically, they said it's a couple $100,000 over a couple of years. So the $25 million for just half of this case already makes it the most expensive. And I should add, it's not just Lawrence and Bundy, the law firm of the campaign chair. They had, I believe it was 8 law firms involved in this case. But Lawrence and Bundy, they were the lead counsel.
Yeah, so the implication here then is that this is something maybe not as egregious, but along the lines of, right, the Black Lives Matter fundraising not being put to any good use and kind of just, being used for kickbacks or personal enrichment, maybe, again, not on the level of buying properties, which is what happened with the Black Lives Matter organization. But this looks
BLM scam. Don't even get me started on that BLM crap. Y'all know how I feel about that mess, man.
This looks kind of fishy based on your reporting. It's hard to come away with another conclusion.
Yeah, I remain open-minded that there could be a perfectly logical or innocent explanation for why this case was so expensive, why they chose this attorney as opposed to, any other. I've asked, and maybe there will be a public answer. Maybe there will be some more explanation given on Fair Fight's side. I think what is important to think about here is what Kathleen Clark, she's a legal and ethics professor, said in the story. She said, there could be an explanation, but there's a fiduciary responsibility to make the best choices. Abrams was chair of this organization up until 2021 when she announced her second run for governor. And so in that role as chair of this nonprofit, chair of the board for this nonprofit, did she make the best decisions in spending the money that she raised? And Fair Fight Action during this time, this is just the 501c4, the nonprofit group, not even the Fair Fight Action PAC, which is called Fair Fight Inc. They raised $61 million, which is more than any other nationally known group in Georgia. And I found out through interviews with the now former organizing director at the group, she left earlier this year, that Fair Fight Action did not do any direct voter contact in the 2020 election cycle. They were not alone in that. During the pandemic, a lot of groups that normally do direct voter work didn't. I was able to verify that information talking to other voting groups in Georgia. So their main, the meat and potatoes of what this organization did, their main priority was this litigation. And that is where they spent, it looks like based on the 990 forms, the majority of their money.
Sounds like we should get Stacey Abrams on another magazine cover.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to ask you about this, Brittany. I don't want you to test.
Put your hands behind your back. Needs to be arrest made.
To this, but I have observed in interviews with on-the-ground grassroots organizers in Georgia, I detect a sliver of resentment, I gotta say, when I hear them talking about how underpaid and undersupported on-the-ground staffers are, as we as a nation witness the enormous fundraising gains and attention that has been paid to Stacey Abrams in particular as a kind of hero of voting rights and electoral victory in a state, despite her own failures to win in any of her own races. And I appreciate you for bringing this story to us today, because we're definitely going to have to continue following this and see if what looks like the worst case scenario is in fact the worst case scenario. It is a real injustice to the people who are really working hard on the ground. Thank you again for joining us, Brittany.
Yeah, great reporting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So y'all, what's going on here? What
Needs to be arrest made. Disgrace, man. Just can't make it up, man. Living like kings and queens on our dime, man. Government giving money to so-called non-profit, or they give themselves an insane salary, buy jets and homes, taxpayer dime. There needs to be a full-blown audit, man. People need to be held accountable. People need to be arrested. Disgrace, man. Needs to be arrested. This big heifer here.
Grew up believing that the right to an abortion was wrong.
Almost threw up, man. Y'all, let me get up out of here, man. Let me know what y'all think. I love y'all. God bless y'all and your families. And I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace and love, family.